Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
There might be some rain coming through. We expect rain soon. Rain is close. The session has been declared wet. No sign of this rain stopping. Rain is clearing up. Rain should be gone for now. Nothing but sunshine all day.
The wind whispers through the Finger Lakes region, brushing past the ancient trees that line the storied asphalt of Watkins Glen. Here where legends once danced with danger, a new chapter prepares to be written, not by rising stars or factory-backed prodigies, but by the seasoned hands of the Senior Sportsmanship League. They come not for the glory, but for the thrill that never fades. Their machines nimble, unforgiving Formula 4 rockets are tuned not just for speed, but for the memory. Each cockpit holds a driver who's lived the eras, who's seen the sport evolve from grit and grandeur, and now returns to the Grand Prix layout not to chase youth, but to honor it. It's not a race of retirement, it's a celebration of resilience, of reflexes honed over decades, of camaraderie forged in paddocks and pit lanes. Watkins Glen, with its sweeping S's and thunderous braking zones, will not go easy on them. But they wouldn't want it any other way, because when the lights go out and the engines scream, age becomes irrelevant and only the spirit remains. At the Glen, that spirit is eternal. Welcome in. This is the second of two endurance races in the Senior Sportsmanship League on iRacing, featuring the Formula 4 machinery Welcome in. This is Racer Nexus. I am Rob Campbell. We'll be with you here for an hour of excitement here coming your way in a matter of moments. Qualifying getting underway. Again, this is the second endurance race of the season. The first one was back a number of weeks, and it ended with a little bit of intrigue, I guess, as we had a couple drivers who didn't quite meet the required pit stop number. With 3 required pit stops here, that's going to be the factor again for this race this evening, or this afternoon, I guess, here as well at Watkins Glen. So no doubt all of our drivers can be very versed on that. Make sure they don't make that mistake that unfortunately caught out Don Warren and Richard Franco last time. Don Warren's here, Richard Franco here too as well, on track putting in some qualifying laps, so they definitely won't be making that mistake again. So let's go on board here with Richard Franco right now as he's out putting in his out lap, and then he'll start his flying lap. Again, it's 60 minutes underway. Buckle in, it's going to be a fun one. We got 13 drivers here in our 2 classes, the Senior Sportsmanship League. Again, if you're over 55, looking for some fun, friendly racing, they're not about all-out competition, about fun, fair racing. You can find the link to the Discord in the description below. They would love to have you if you fit those categories and want to do some fun racing with them. Let's take a look here while we're waiting for our first laps to come in at what we got shaping up. So today is week 2 of the endurance racing. Kicks off the second half of the season here in the Senior Sportsmanship side of things. Watkins Glen is the site for the race. Format 60 minutes, 3 required pit stops, same as last setup. And then I believe this is the only other endurance race on the season, so no other track to be seen coming in the future for these folks here. But qualifying underway, and we'll be getting some laps in here relatively shortly. Let's take a look at the championship points coming to this one. Let's take a look first at the senior division, see how things shape up there coming in. As John Johnson leading the way, 252 points, just ahead of Stephen Carkner. Bill Smitham in 3rd. Antonio Race, new driver, came in after the start of the season, currently in 4th. Donald Warren rounds out the top 5 in a logjam with Antonio Reese at 4th place, both of them with 201 points. In the 70-plus division, we've got Bruce Poole leading the way, 293 points, comfortable lead over Gene Moore and Michael Bailey. See if Gene Moore can close that gap. Michael Bailey not here today. So qualifying underway. On board here with Richard Franco. Still waiting for a time to come in here for Richard. We've got a few times on the board right now. Steve Carkner leading the way, 147.081, 3/10 up on Craig Vaught in 2nd place. Don Warren close behind in 3rd. Only 100 separating these 2 drivers. Back here with John Johnson, currently mid-pack, sitting 2/10 back. Quite close qualifying right now. Top 7 drivers, only separated by a couple of tenths. So it should be interesting once we get to the race. 60 minutes to unfold. Plenty of room for our drivers to move up and down the field. It'll be interesting to see what kind of strategy plays out here. If some of our drivers come in early to utilize their pit stop or try and push it a little later in the run. We saw that strategy kind of unfold a little bit in race number 1, where I believe Donald Strout, who's not handling the league anymore, he's handed it over to a couple other fellows in the league. He was one of the drivers, came in early, chose to take that early pit stop strategy, try and get those 3 pit stops done and out of the way. And then we had some other drivers who really pushed it to the limit, ran as much fuel as they possibly could before they popped in. So it'll be interesting to see what strategy plays out here. But I'm actually surprised to see Antonio Rice, one of our highest ranked iRacing drivers, a little further back in the field right now in qualifying, sitting in 9th place. That's a 4.6K iRacing driver, sitting well back of a couple of drivers. John Johnson, nice rating for him too as well, 3.2K. Our leader right now, Steve Carkner, 2.7, but we've got a number of 1.2, 1.3K drivers all mixed in a bunch here. So it just shows you that iRacing, not necessarily a good indicator of all-out skill, anybody can be really competitive. So let's take a look at the weather conditions we've got here today. 68-degree air temp, 70-degree Fahrenheit track temp. Relatively pleasant day, cloudy. I don't believe there's any rain in the forecast. Humidity levels only at 10%, so the cloud's going to keep the sun off the track and should keep things relatively cool as the race progresses. So Carkner going to come across the line with a 147.2, unable to best his current 147.0. Now, I mentioned Antonio Race a little farther down in the qualifying standings than where I would have thought he would have been, but that lap last time by 147.26 moved him up in second place. But as I say that, Don Warren going to jump up into top spot with a nice lap from him, 147.09. That separates him and Carkner by only 5/1000ths of a second. That's 5/1000ths. Think about that for a second. That's basically a virtual deadlock right now between those two drivers, as they've got about a minute 45 left in qualifying, a time to finish up the laps they're on, as long as they've already crossed the start finish line. Let's head back and take a look at one of our 70 plus drivers right now. Gene Moore came into this one leading the championship standings ahead of Bruce Poole. Right now he's qualifying ahead of him too as well. So nice job right now by Gene as he's heading into the boot section now here at Watkins Glen, into the toe of the boot, also known as turn number 7. Currently sitting on a 148.57. That puts him back about half a second from our leader. So even being in 11th place, actually our top 13 drivers all separated by, I say, about a second or so at the most here. Let's take a look. There we go, 1.4 seconds separating our top 11 drivers, under a second for our top 10 drivers. So very tight in the senior division, and then very tight again too as well in our 70 plus division. Should be a ton of fun here this evening. Richard Franco, so he's going to call it quits on that lap. Craig Watt into the final corner for Craig. He's going to cross the line. We'll see if he's able to improve. Currently sitting in 6th place on a 147.56. Craig going to cross the line with a 147.432. That's going to improve his time. It's going to move him into 5th place. It's going to move Bill Spitham down into 6th. John Johnson across the line, 147.64 last time by for him. Looks like he's going to be starting somewhere in the neighborhood of 7th place. Only about 9 seconds left to go. Our driver's running out of time. Jean-Paul Epp not going to be able to get across to finish up this lap. Currently sitting in the 10th place. Bruce Poole came into this one second in points in the 70 plus division. He's going to pull it into the pits. Wasn't happy with his lap time there, calls it quits, pulls the chute, in he goes, and that's going to basically wrap it up here for qualifying. As I believe we've only got a couple more drivers on track. Bob Mills, I think Bob going to stop short just of the start finish line. And it'll leave Craig Vaught being our only driver on track, and Jean-Paul Epp, sorry, he's still out there finishing up his lap. So again, if you're looking to join a very friendly, low-key group of drivers, focus more on the fun and enjoyment and fellowship of racing, this is probably the league for you. Again, you can find the Discord link for the league in the description below. They'd love to have you. So they have a maximum of 4 laps they can put in for qualifying. Leave Jean-Paul Epp here on his final lap. We'll see what he puts in as he crosses the line. Currently sitting in 10th place. He's going to pass underneath Barney the flagman. Epp comes across that time 147.94. That's going to move him up 1 spot, just ahead of Jim Petrick. So Paul, our final driver on track, he's going to park it into the tire barrier at the end. So now we'll just have to wait for time and scoring to finish up here. Then we'll have our official qualifying results. Again, let's take another quick look here at the points coming into this one. Bruce Poole just ahead of Gene Moore. So those two drivers going to battle it out in the 70 plus division. Gene Moore qualified just ahead of Bruce Poole. So doing what he needs to do to try and close that points gap. And then over in the senior division, again, John Johnson comes in leading the way. Looks like he's going to be starting somewhere around 7th place. Steve Carkner, 2nd place in the points, only 7 points back of John Johnson. right now sitting on pole position for the race. Bill Smitham, it looks like he's going to be starting somewhere around 6. So our top 3 drivers kind of mixed up here in the qualifying. Steve Carkner doing what he needs to do to try and get himself ahead of John Johnson in that senior division battle. So we still got a little bit of time left here in qualifying. Looks like it's set for a 15-minute session, even though all of our drivers are done and finished up here. We'll see if potentially they scoot the grid ahead a little bit. But while we're waiting, we've got some channel sponsors to speak about. Apex Sim Racing. You can find yourself a 5% discount code in the description below. Use that plus the referral link. Get yourself 5% off any wheels, button boxes, wheelbases, chassis, seats. They even sell PC systems too as well to get you on the track and into sim racing. Again, we thank them for jumping on board and sponsoring the channel. It helps out any of our viewers and our racers as well as like. So do yourself a favor. Use them to get your next sim racing gear. And then today, your camera is going to be all brought to you by Track Cams for Gourmets, Track Cams 22. So you'll find yourself some nice real-life action shots that you might actually remember from IMSA racing as he tries to replicate the IMSA camera angles that you would see on TV. So nice shots, nice race shots coming in, better than the default iRacing shots to see this evening for our drivers out there. So another minute or so left to go in qualifying, them getting underway. So we had a last minute joiner here, Pierre Dion, jumping into the session at the last minute. So that's going to put us at about 14 drivers for the session here today. So it should be an excellent race. Watkins always brings with it a ton of fun racing. I'll just quickly add Pierre into the class he would be in. Then we'll take a look at our results once timing scoring clicks over. There we go. Pierre will make 4 drivers in the Senior Plus division. So one extra cat for our 70 plus drivers to deal with out here. Pierre Dion, Canadian driver, joining our list of, we've got drivers from all around the world here. We got a couple Canadians, we've got a couple Americans. Well, we got a half dozen Americans. We got John Johnson from the UK. Jean Paulep from, I believe that is Belgium, potentially his flag there. We got the Portuguese driver of Antonio Rice-Chenet. Number of drivers representing the world here in the Senior Plus division. There we go. Clock has finally clicked over in qualifying. We're going to get off to the grid and take a look at how our drivers are going to shape up. Steve Carkner taking top spot ahead of Don Warren. Antonio Rice-Chenet in 3rd, just ahead of Richard Franco. Craig Vaught in 5th with Bill Smitham in 6th. John Johnson and Ed Cavalier are going to occupy 7th and 8th place. Jean Paulep and Jim Petrick in 9th and 10th positions. And then first in the Senior Plus division goes to Gene Moore. Bruce Poole in 2nd place. Bob Bills in 3rd. Pierre Dion going to round out the field. Our drivers are gridding up here. There we go. As we see Steve Carkner on pole. Don Warren to his outside. Currently taking a look at the machine here of Antonio Rice-Chenet. It's a sharp paint job on that machine. Space car pulls away. We've got a full pace lap on the way. On board here with Don Warren. He's rocking the Harley Davidson paint scheme. You don't see too many of those in F4 racing liveries. Nicely done by Don Warren, representing all the hog riders out there. Welcome into chat, Chip Michaels. He's appreciating the 2:30 stream. Must be looking for something to do at work, Chip. Thanks for tuning in. We got a fun one underway here. Take a look here at Bill Smitham, one of our drivers that was very potent towards the end of last race. I believe, if I remember correctly, Bill might have made the most overtakes in the race, had a heck of a number of battles. So we're looking for some more excitement from him here this evening. A couple new drivers we didn't have last race, so it'll be interesting to see how they can do. Once they figure into the mix here too as well. Our big battle here will be in the 70 plus division between Bruce Poole and Gene Moore. Top two drivers in 70 plus starting neck and neck on the track here. Steve Karkner put himself where he needs to be. Top spot on the podium, or starting a top spot on the grid here. See what kind of jump Karkner gets on the rest of the field. They're heading into the boot. With 3 more corners to go, and then we'll be lightening up for green flag racing. Again, 60 minutes, 3 mandatory pit stops here for our drivers. Okay, here we go. They're bunching up into turn 9. 2 more corners to go. Formula 4 action in the Senior Sportsmanship League. Again, if you're looking to join a excellent group of racers who are more about the fun and friendship than they are the outright pace, this is the group of drivers for you. Into the front corner we go. Karkner and Warren going to lead them around. Pace car about to duck off into the pits. 60 minutes. Here we go. 14 Formula 4 cars head to the green flag. Green is out. Karkner gets a jump on the field. Don Warren in tow. Antonio Rechinet trying to look up the inside. He got a nice jump. Unable to make a move around Karkner though. Karkner going to hold on to that spot. Rechinet looking to the inside. He's going to hold on to his 3rd place starting position. But he is battling Don Warren around the outside. Looks like Warren going to give up that position to Rechinet and duck back into 3rd. Be fighting back again on the outside. They're going to go toe-to-toe up through the S's. Looks like Genet going to have the lead into the bus stop here. It could be a battle of the late breakers into the bus stop. Warren fighting back. He's got himself wheel to wheel into the bus stop. Oh, something had to give. Warren backs out, but he's going to lose a spot to Bill Smitham. I mentioned moments ago, Smitham was one of the drivers with a ton of overtakes in the first race. He was up, down, all around. He's already got himself up 3 positions into 3rd place. Smitham really pouncing here on lap 1, taking advantage of some other drivers having a little bit of an issue. You see Smitham able to keep pushing forward and try and catch up to Antonio Rechinet up ahead, but Steve Karkner already 2.5 seconds up on the rest of the field as they knife and elbows out in behind him. Karkner doing exactly what he needs to do to open up that gap. Antonio Genet opened up a bit of a gap over Smitherman, who's having to defend against Don Warren. Warren down 2 spots from where he qualified, so he's going to try and regain those positions sooner rather than later. Let's head back a little farther in the field here. Ed Cavalier battling it out with Richard Franco. Franco, one of those drivers that unfortunately didn't take the 3 stops last race, so he'll be keeping that in mind. We'll see if maybe he's one of the drivers pops in early to knock off one of those stops required early on. But in the 70 plus division, Pierre Dion got himself up top quickly in that division, just ahead of Bruce Poole and Gene Moore. Let's move Bob Mills down into 14th place, but those 4 drivers still nose to tail on track. Keep an eye on them as we have some points implication between Poole and Moore. Poole right now still holding on to his qualifying position. Gene Moore down 2 spots though, and behind him we'll see if Gene able to close that gap back up as we go on board here with Gene Moore heading up through the S's. They're heading towards the bus stop for the 2nd time. Draft range on these cars about 1 second or so, maybe a little more depending on the track. A track like Watkins where it's fairly high speed I'm gonna say probably around the 1 second, 1.2 second range where you can really start to feel some draft off the car ahead of you. But let's head back to this battle for second place. Bryce Chenet starting to open up over Smitham and Warren. Smitham trying to defend off Warren. Doing well so far as we look back here from Smitham, seeing Don Warren trying to find a way, dropping a couple tires into the grass, looked out wide, filling the mirrors of Warren best he can. He's going to get his nose along the inside here. Can he make the move into the heel of the boot? No, he's going to back out and try and go the long way around. Thinks better of it, backs out. Smitham able to hold off that defense as it is right now. In behind them, we got a number of drivers ready to pounce if things were to come to blows between them. Let's go on board here with Craig Vaught. He's following John Johnson around, and he's got Richard Franco in tow. Franco with Cavalier in tow too as well. So we got about 5-6 cars here very close together on track. Oh, we see a couple of drivers actually get out into the wall. Vaught and Johnson both kissing that left side tire off that wall. That's going to allow Franco to stick his nose up the inside. He's going to back out. Not ready to make that move on Vaught yet. Realizes it's still got lots of time ahead of him in this race. Plenty of time to make a move for Vaught. Bryce Chenet now opened up that gap over Smitham, and Smitham having to deal with Warren. They're still going nose to tail here as they go up into the inner loop for the third time. Warren on the inside this time. Battle of the late breakers. Don Warren going to take that position back. That's going to drop Bill Smitham down into fourth place. Still up 2 positions on the day from where Smitham qualified. But now he has John Johnson right on his tailpipe. We'll go on board here with Johnson. He's been watching that battle up ahead between Smitham and Warren. So it'll be interesting to see if Johnson's picked up anything here. Watching those 2 drivers, maybe he can capitalize on something here or there, as it looks like they're going to continue to battle for a little while. That is Smitham and Warren. Oh, Smitham out wide, almost into the wall. That's going to allow Johnson to get by. Is Craig Vaught going to get by too as well? No, looks like Smitham going to recover that position. Only going to lose 1. Well done by Bill Smitham. Only to lose the 1 position there. Slight mistake when you're battling that close. It's easy to lose a number of positions. So to keep the loss only at 1 spot loss, that's well done by Bill Smitham. Our leader, Steve Karkner, starting to get reeled in here by Antonio Reyes Chenet. Saw Karkner get out to that huge lead early on. About 2.5 seconds up ahead on Reyes Chenet, Don Warren, John Johnson, Bill Smitham, and the rest of the pack in behind. That gap closing though. Antonio Reyes, quick lap last time by 147.17 to Karkner's 147.72. So just under 0.6 difference that lap time for Reyes Chenet. It had the quickest lap of the race until Don Warren came across the line with 147.07. So a couple drivers going toe-to-toe back and forth here right now. Don Warren holds that bragging rights for the fastest lap. Looks like something happened to Pierre Dion. We'll take a look at that here in a moment as our leaders head into the bus stop. That gap getting ever so close. Let's take a quick look here. What happened to Pierre Dion? We'll get back to the action. Dion in the Martini machine. It's up on the curb. Oh, and he just snaps around the back end. Interesting there. I'm not sure if he just had the back end snap around on him. Interesting. It didn't look like he really got up on the curb and got loose. But either way, that's going to cost him a ton of spots. One of the drivers, I believe that might have been Bob Mills or Gene Moore, had to get into the arm code to avoid him. But battle up front getting spicy. Steve Karkner's been caught by Antonio Reyes Chenet. Now, can Chenet find a way around? Catching the driver's one thing. Finding a way around him is completely different. As they head into turn 9. Penultimate corner is up next. Turn 10. Quick little left-hand sweeper. Flat out in the Formula 4 cars. And then into Watkins Glen's version of the Wall of Champions here. Not to be outdone by Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. See a lot of drivers kissing the wall in that final corner, similar to what you see in Gilles Villeneuve. Both our top 2 drivers able to navigate through there without any issue. So go on board here with Antonio Reyes. I just noticed his profile picture there. Hulkonia X Team. I guess the profile picture fits, but it's a an excellent profile picture there for Antonio, but he is well within the draft of Steve Karkner. Close enough to make a move this time by into the inner loop, also known as the bus stop, so have to try and find another way around. Now, let's see how Karkner can perform with some pressure on the back now from Antonio Reis-Genet. Let's go a little farther back here. We got a battle between Jean Paulep and Craig Vaught. It's a battle for 9th and 10th place. Vaught currently holding on to 9th. He's down 4 spots where he qualified. Epp down 1 spot into 10th. So both those drivers are going to be trying to recoup some losses here. It looks like Vaught's starting to pull away. We got a battle just ahead of them too as well for Ed Cavalier and Jim Petrick. That's for 7th and 8th place. Cavalier currently holding on to that position. Petrick trying to find a way around. Really good run out of the toe of the boot there for Petrick. Closed up with the gap on Cavalier a little bit. Can he make the move into the heel? He does not. He's going to stay in tow and try and find another way around. Let's check back in our leaders. Oh! Don Warren off in behind our leaders. He's going to get himself turned back around, back on track, but what a disaster there for Don Warren. He's going to get himself back on track, but he's fallen all the way down to 11th place. Take a quick look here in a moment, see what happened to Warren. There we go. Let's see what happened to Don Warren to send him off into the Armco there in turn 9. Same spot where we saw Pierre Dion lose it. So Warren, he tried a much wider angle. Just got out there in the marbles, I suspect. Lost the back end. Around he went, but he got himself back underway. So he had some pace. We'll see if he's able to work himself up through the field. Maybe Don Warren will be our first driver in to take his fuel and knock off one of his pit stops. It's generally an advisable piece of advice. If you have an off, you've already thrown that lap away. Come into the pits, get rid of that pit stop, get it out of the way, have that one done, and regroup. Get yourself on a little different cycle than the rest of the field. You never know, that clean air might work out for you. You can pass a couple cars through strategy that way. As we've got another driver, looks like Craig Vaught off into the inside railing through the carousel. He's going to get it turned back around, and he'll get back on track. So a couple drivers starting to have some issues now as we're hitting the 10-minute mark. We'll take a look in a matter of moments, see what happened to Craig to put him into the wall. Potentially Jim Petrick might have been involved with that one too as well. I'm seeing incidents for both of them at simultaneous times. What that did for Don Warren going off track was allowed our 2 leaders open up now 3.2 seconds over John Johnson in 3rd place. He's got a nice 2.5 second gap over Bill Smitham and Franco in 4th and 5th. But let's take a look here at, let's see, Jim Petrick first. Just ahead of Craig Vaught. So Petrick in the red car. Ooh, he gets loose with the inner loop. Oh, and he just tags Craig Vaught as they went through there. So it was a simultaneous incident between the 2 of them. See if we can go on board here with Craig Vaught, see what he saw as he's coming through the bus stop. Thought he was clear. Petrick just turned too far left into him. Maybe needed to back out of the throttle a little bit, tuck in behind Craig Vaught, but both drivers coming out that one worse for the wear. So pick back up the battle between Franco and Smitham. Franco still trying to find a way around Smitham. Smitham up ahead in 4th place. We saw him as high as 3rd. Lost a spot when he went off into the grass. Thankfully for him, it was only the 1 spot, so it was a nice save by Smitham. So he's starting to open up a bit of gap over Franco. Smitham starting to push the pace here in 4th place. 147.85 fast lap for Smitham to a 147.6 for Franco. So right now, Franco potentially has the pace to catch Smitham and get around him as we see him starting to reel Smitham back through as they're in the boot section. Looks like Smitham a little slower in and out of the toe of the boot into the heel than Franco. Franco finding a little more pace there, where in the quicker, I guess you call it the NASCAR-esque section of the track where they don't use the boot, Smitham had a little more pace. If you see a connection issue there quickly for Franco, that's going to hinder his draft capabilities in behind Smitham. Spot back up to the leaders. Karkner still able to hold off Reis-Genet. So we saw Antonio get himself quickly up to about half-second back, and then he's kind of stalled out here at about 3/10, 4/10 behind Raichenet. Hasn't really been able to close that gap any further. There's no real need to save fuel here, as there's 3 pit stops mandatory, and unless they've changed the fuel load from the first endurance race that we ran earlier in the season, they had more than enough fuel to make the pit stops basically whatever they wanted and get themselves to the end of the race. As we do have a couple drivers into the pits right now. Richard Frankel and Pierre Dion are in the pits, so they'll be our first takers. They'll get that one of 3 mandatory pit stops out of the way. See if any of our other drivers come in. Right now, I think if I was Steve Carter, I might actually pop in here and knock off one of those pit stops early on here, trying to relieve a little pressure from Antonio off the rear wing. Maybe you can get yourself back out into clear air, put in some hot laps, so when Antonio comes in for his fuel stop, you leapfrog back ahead of him. So we'll keep an eye on that strategy there. Sounds like we might have a battle a little farther back here. Don Warren starting to work his way back through the field. He's got himself in 8th place, just behind Bruce Poole, and I just heard on comms that Steve Carter is going to be coming into the pits this time by. He just let Antonio know. So we'll see. Is Antonio going to come with him too as well? Oh, John Johnson in behind, getting into the Armco out of turn 9. He's going to get gathered back up. That's going to cost him a little bit of time as Bill Smitham starting to chase him back in. So Carter comes in. Rice going to stay out. John Johnson out too as well. Bill Smitham. Looks like Steve Carter going to come in on his own here. So we'll keep an eye on this strategy here for Carter as he rolls down pit lane into his stall. So we've had 3 drivers come in for pit stops now. One of them are driver from the lead. A couple of the drivers that were a little further back in the pack. So see how things cycle out for them. So Richard Frankel, Pierre Dion are only other 2 drivers other than Carter who've come for their pit stops. Still waiting for all 3 stops from the rest of the field. The battle here now between Gene Moore and Jim Petrick. Moore, one of our 70-plus drivers. So that the orange car numbers, those are our 70-plus drivers. The turquoise, those are our senior division drivers. So 55-plus is senior. 70-plus is, well, 70-plus. Self-explanatory on that one. 2 different divisions as far as points go. Right now, Gene Moore, the 70-plus driver, holding off Petrick. See if he's able to continue to hold him off. Moore's fast lap, 49.24. Petrick's 48.10. We saw Petrick got wrapped up in that incident with Craig Vaught in the carousel. So Petrick trying to regain those positions he lost early on. But our top 70-plus driver right now is Bruce Poole. Got himself up into 6th place. So nice showing right now for Bruce. Again, he's one of those drivers in the championship hunt in the 70-plus division. Him and Gene Moore seem to be the top 2 drivers in that class. They're really going to be bringing it down to the wire as far as points go. John Johnson into the pits now too as well. So we're seeing a few more of the drivers come in and get that one in pit stop knocked off the list. So we got Ed Cavalier going to follow him too as well. But our leader, Antonio Rice-Chenet, he's going to stay out, go around for another couple laps. He's now got Bill Smitham in 2nd place, 5.8 seconds back on Smitham. Don Warren and Bruce Poole battling it out here. Poole, again, one of our 70-plus drivers. Some more drivers coming in to knock off one of their 3 pit stops. It's move Bruce Poole up 8 spots on the day so far. Into 4th place, Don Warren, who we saw starting up at the sharp end of the field. In 3rd place, he's trying to recover here. He moves to the inside. Oh, we thought about moving to the inside. I thought he was going to make that move into the bus stop. Thinks better of it, backs out. He's going to tuck in behind Bruce Poole and try and find another way around. So probably a wise decision there by Don. Still plenty of time to go in this race as we're not even near the 20-minute mark. So still about 42 and a half minutes to go. And this one, plenty of time for Don to work himself back up towards the front. No real reason to push the issue right now. See Craig Vaught and John Johnson, pardon me, Vaught just ahead of Johnson, yet to pit. Johnson has completed 1 pit stop, so it's not necessarily for position. Johnson off cycle for Vaught. Vaught still owes us 3 stops. Johnson owes us 2. The closest battle on track still is Bruce Poole and Don Warren. This is inter-class battle here between Poole and Warren. Let's take a look back here from Bruce Poole. See Don Warren looking to the inside through the penultimate corner. Not able to make that move. Sounds like Jim Petrick might be coming in for his pit. He is. One of the drivers we saw wrapped up in that incident. He's going to come in for service. Bob Mills. He's going to continue on. That's our second place 70-plus driver. Steve Karkner, our pole sitter, he has completed his pit stop. His first out lap was a 217.68. He's going to come across the line. So let's see what his first flying lap here is after his pit stop. 147.63. He's got himself in clean air. Well, relatively clean air. He's got Richard Franco 1.85 seconds up ahead of him, so shouldn't be a real hindrance here for a lap or so. So Karkner, he needs to put in some quick laps because right now Antonio Rice-Chenet out front. Last lap by 147.42. Rice-Chenet also has the quickest lap of the race now, our only driver to dip into the 46s with a 146.791. That's a absolutely blistering lap in an F4. So Don Warren continues to pull away from Bruce Poole after making the pass. Let's take a look here and see how he finally made that stick. As they were heading up through the S's into the inner loop, into the bus stop. Warren looking on the inside, Poole on the outside. Looks like Poole's going to back out. Let him have that position. Again, that's an inter-class battle. There's no real need for them to really push the issue with each other and potentially wreck out. Bruce vying for top spot in the 70-plus division. Don over in the senior division, 55-plus. A couple sparks coming off there from Don Warren as he heads out of the final corner. Using up all the track. Didn't quite touch the wall, but the sparks kicking off from the little bit of the shark tooth curbing on the outside. So we've had about half the field in for pit service now. Basically, our top 5 are our only drivers who haven't come in for at least 1 stop at this point in time. It looks like we might have a couple drivers that are already in for their second stop here. Pierre Dion has come in for his second stop, so he's going to knock 2 of those stops off very quickly. 1 more stop, and then he'll be able to run to the end. So keep an eye here on Don Warren and Bruce Poole. Poole going wide through the inner loop. So he cost himself a little bit of time. He was starting to put some pressure back on Don Warren after losing that spot to Warren. Again, both these drivers still owe us a stop, so technically our leader is John Johnson. He's our highest placed driver right now who has come in for a stop, which is surprising to see Steve Karkner currently sitting in 9th place. That's 4 positions back of the rest of the field that's pit so far. Let's take a look at their pit stop time. So Karkner 37.93 on and off pit road, 4.9 in his stall. Johnson 3.788, so very similar time on and off pit road from cone to cone, excuse me. And Johnson actually longer in the pit stall, 5.7 seconds. So I'm not sure if Karkner had a off track somewhere here that's cost him a bit of time, but theoretically we should have saw him come back out ahead of Johnson. So we'll keep an eye on that. Karkner is putting in quicker laps right now than John Johnson, Ed Cavalier, and Richard Franco up ahead of him. So if he can find that little bit of extra pace, he should be able to close them in. Bill Smitham in and out of pit stall for his service. See where he cycles through. John Johnson comes down the front straight here now. Is Smitham going to get out ahead of him? He is. But now, is he going to be able to get back up to pace? Is Johnson going to be coming at full tilt up through the S's? Smitham still going to be trying to get up to full chat. It'll be interesting here once we get into the inner loop. Is Smitham will be able to get back up to full speed? I think he will. So well done by Bill Smitham on and off pit road. Comes back out, manages to hold on to 4th place. He will have a thirsty John Johnson, though, in behind. Maybe looking to try and take that position away from Smitham. Both those drivers plus 2 positions on the day from where they qualified. So nice race shaping up for those 2 drivers. We'll see if Johnson can reel back in Smitham again. I mentioned Smitham, the first endurance race of the season, had a ton of battles, and we've seen that already this race. 23 minutes into this one, he's been in and around all the excitement for the most part. We got a battle here for position. Ed Cavalier and Richard Franco. Both these drivers have come in for one stop. Franco still having that connection issue there as we see him blink out. Pops back in right beside Cavalier. There you go, wheel to wheel into the heel of the boot. Franco going to dive underneath and take that position away from Cavalier. They've got Steve Karkner lurking in behind as we go on board here with Karkner. He can see that battle up ahead. He'd love to see some more side-by-side action between those 2 drivers. That would allow him to reel them in very quickly. So keep an eye on here. Karkner has the pace. He was our pole sitter. Just a matter of how quickly he can move around those cars once he catches up to them. So the entire field has come in for a stop except for our current leader, Jean-Paul Epp. He still owes us 3 stops. Majority of the rest of the field has stopped at least once. Some of our drivers twice. Pierre Dion, our sole driver that's come in twice. John Johnson, he's going to come in for his 2nd stop. Interesting move here by John Johnson, coming in to get stop number 2 out of the way. I mentioned we had a couple of drivers last race, the first endurance race of the season, took that strategy too as well. They came in early, got 2 out of the 3 stops done, and then they ran for a decent stint, and then they knocked that third pit stop off, and then all they had to do at that point in time forward was just focus on getting to the checkered flag. So we'll keep an eye on to see how that works out. As we saw, John Johnson cycled through just behind Bill Smitham, who we're on board with now. So maybe Johnson's got something under his cap here. Maybe his car drives a little better running at full fuel, and he wants to have it running at as much fuel as possible for the race. So we'll keep an eye on that. Antonio Rechinet, he's going to be our leader once Jean-Paul Epp comes in for his service. Bill Smitham now 7 seconds back of Genet. Separation of these 2 drivers, quickest laps. Antonio Rechinet 146.79. Bill Smith's best lap 147.70. So just under 1 second difference, about 9/10 separating those 2 drivers. Oh, Smitham going to come in for his 2nd stop too as well. So he's going to answer John Johnson's strategy. So we'll keep an eye and see where Smitham comes back out again. Interesting stuff here. We're seeing some drivers really try some different strategy. I'm wondering if it's maybe they like the way the car feels on more fuel load versus with a lighter fuel load. So we'll keep an eye on that. That means they're going to have less of a fuel load towards the end, theoretically. But we'll see. We got a battle right now. Craig Vaught trying to chase down Gene Moore. Thinks about looking up the inside of Gene Moore. Doesn't make that move. Moore going to hold on to 8th place overall. He's also 2nd in class. Up through the S's they go. What kind of run can Craig Vaught get? To go on board here with Vaught. Let's see how strong the draft is on these cars as they head up through the S's. Tucked in right in behind Moore, utilizing all that draft he can. I hear Vaught back out, quite a ways back out of the inner loop bus stop. He could have pushed it a lot farther. Moore going to go wide though. It's cost him a ton of time. That's going to put Craig Vaught right up on his rear wing. Let's see if Moore lets him go by or he holds him off as long as he can. This is, again, 2 different class drivers. Vaught is in the 55 plus, Moore in the 70 plus. So they're not actually battling for points within their division here. But hey, who doesn't like a good battle on track? Racers are going to race. Now, interesting strategy now. Steve Karkner, I mentioned I was surprised to see that when the pit cycles came through, he was that far back in the field as he came in for second. He's going to come in now to kick off his second stop. Richard Franco into as well. Or no, sorry, Franco did not come in. Franco still having those connection issues. Keeps throwing off my timing and scoring as if he went into the pits. So Carpenter's going to come in, get his second stop done and out of the way. So that's going to leave us about 4 drivers who've already completed 2 stops. 2 out of the 3, they're not going to be in danger of having that issue of not having all 3 stops done here. Go back to this battle here between Vaught and Moore. Still a tight battle on track. Moore going to go off wide out of turn 1. That's going to allow Craig Vaught to get by. But Gene Moore going to be able to tuck in and utilize that draft. But they got Bill Smitham right in behind. Now remember, Smitham, one of our drivers who's completed 2 stops. So he's a stop ahead of these 2 cars ahead of him. Which technically, theoretically, would put Bill Smitham ahead of them in the overall points or positioning of the race here. As he's completed 2 of the 3 stops, see Smitham using up all the curbing and then some through the inner loop, putting a ton of pressure on the back of Gene Moore. Into the boot they go. Can Smitham find a way to make that move? As they head out of the toe of the boot, up the hill, into the hill. So you go shoot up the hill and then you're actually going to come back down. The braking section is downhill, which makes this a tough braking zone. It's not actually a tough corner, but the braking zone itself coming downhill and being in draft like Smitham is right now, and more, you're carrying that extra couple mile an hour down through that corner. It makes it even more difficult in these Formula 4 cars that they have some, you know, they have quite a bit of aerodynamic, but they don't necessarily have as much as, say, a Formula 3 Indy car, Super Formula car. So you can lock up the front tires very easily on them, as we see. It's like a number of our drivers coming in for that second stop. Gene Moore going to be one of them. Franco in his stall now too as well. Ed Cavalier shaping out to have a nice race right now for Cavalier. He's up 6 spots in the second overall. He still owes us 2 more pit stops though. Our top driver that's completed 2 of the stops is Bill Smitham, as we mentioned early on. So Vaught, Epp, Poole, Warren, Cavalier, Genet all still owe us a second stop, plus 1 more. Theoretically, Smitham is our leader, although he was about 7 seconds back as Genet before he came in to complete that second stop. So I don't think he'll be able to make up enough time to take that spot away from Genet, but potentially Bill Smitham might be looking at a second place position here once the rest of round 2 of pit stops cycle through. Let's hop back here to Richard Franco and Bob Mills. Franco just fresh out from his pit stop. He's going to get out just ahead of Bob Mills. Mills has Carpenter in behind, another driver who's completed his 2 stops. So probably not the way that Carpenter was envisioning his race going when he started on pole. Had pace early on, but he was one of our early drivers to come in for a pit cycle, and unfortunately for him, he hasn't been able to find the pace since that first stop. If I was Carpenter, I might try a different strategy this time. So you've come in early twice for your 2 stops. You owe us 1 more stop. Why not push the fuel load, run it out till near empty, and then come in for that 3rd stop? Maybe you can find that pace that you're missing right now with that lighter fuel load. The full fuel load doesn't seem to be working out the way that he was hoping it would be. So head on board here now with Jean-Paul Epp. He's got Bruce Poole setting his sights on him in behind. Poole, our top 70-plus driver right now, 5th position right now for Bruce Poole. Shaping up to be a great race for Bruce Poole. Into the inner loop they go. Poole trying to chase down Jean-Paul Epp up ahead. Epp did lead a couple laps. Once Genet came in for his pit stall, Epp was our final driver to pit for the first round of stops. So far, looks like that strategy worked out relatively decently for him. Got himself in 4th place, ahead of a couple of drivers who have only put in 1 stop too as well. So we'll see. Maybe that light fuel load works out well for Jean-Paul Epp versus running around more laps with a heavier fuel load. Driver who it's really working out for is Antonio Reis-Chenet. Fastest lap last time by 147.71. One of the only drivers to dip into the 47s last time, as we're starting to see our field slowing down a little bit as their tires are starting to go away on them. Ed Cavalier is going to come in for his 2nd stop from 2nd place. So keep an eye here on Bill Smitham. He's our highest placed driver who's had 2 stops. He's coming into the final corner now. Cavalier in his stall. Still in his stall, hasn't left yet. He's exiting out. There comes Cavalier now. Smitham back in for his 3rd stop. So Bill Smitham going to be our first driver to complete all 3 stops. So for now, the last 26 minutes of the race, Bill Smitham's going to have nothing to worry about other than pushing forward. His stops are going to be done. He won't have to worry about trying to time it, who he's battling. It's just go, go, go for Bill Smitham. I think that's a wise strategy right now in Smitham's part, so we'll keep an eye on it, see how it works out. But Bruce Poole, Jean-Paul Epp, they are battling it. Bruce Poole, excellent race by him. Oh man, he gets into the back of Epp. Not sure what happened there. It looks like Epp might have got loose through the carousel. Oh, he comes back on track. Craig Vaught comes through there and he clears him out. Oh man. That was a terrible rejoin by Jean-Paul Epp. No doubt they'll be reviewing that one later on. Craig Vaught took a hammering through there. He was coming through the carousel full clip. Nowhere to go as Epp came right out in front of him. Take another look here at what happened there. First off, what happened to Jean-Paul Epp? He was just very slow heading through the carousel for some reason. And then we'll watch this rejoin. Oh, right into Craig Vaught. Nowhere to go for Vaught. See if we can catch on board here from Craig Vaught what he was seeing coming around the corner. Oh yeah, there was just there was no way for Craig to have any idea what was going on there. But I'd like to see maybe see if we can get a rear view look here of Jean-Paul Epp. I'm not sure why he was going so slow through the. Oh, he got loose heading through the carousel. That's what happened there. He got a little squirrely heading through the carousel. Bruce Poole, nowhere to go, but oh man, what a terrible rejoin. Whew. You hate to see it. That's why you need your relative on, folks. At all times, you need to be checking that relative when you have an incident. Don Warren, though, got himself back up into 2nd place where he started. Had that incident early on, dropped him way back. He's had to fight tooth and nail to get himself back up into 2nd place where he qualified. Still only has 1 pit stop under his belt, though. Owes us 2 more. So we'll see how that works out once he's got the 2nd one and 3rd one completed. Our only driver to complete 3, or sorry, we got 2 drivers to complete 3 now. Steve Karkner has come in to complete his 3rd stop too as well. So Karkner, our pole sitter, 3 stops done. Bill Smitham in 7th place, 3 stops done. So Karkner and Smitham separated by 4.7 seconds. Those are our only 2 drivers to complete 3 stops. Still waiting for a 2nd one from Antonio Reis-Chenet leading the field. Don Warren owes us a 2nd one. Bruce Poole owes us a 2nd stop too as well. Our top 70 plus driver. He's ahead of John Johnson. John Johnson has 2 stops under his belt. Currently 1.6 seconds back of Bruce Poole. So he'll take over 3rd spot once Poole comes in for his 2nd stop. Looks like Don Warren coming in to give us his 2nd stop. So from 2nd place, he'll come in. He had 15 seconds over Bruce Poole, though, so I think Don Warren's going to actually come back out somewhere in around maybe 5th place, 6th place, maybe just in front of Bob Mills. We'll have to keep an eye on that. You see Bob Mills heading into the final corner now. Don Warren exiting out of his stall. Or no, sorry, he's just getting into his stall here now. Timing scoring was still running that. Bob Mills, he's going to head into turn 1 now. That's going to drop Don Warren down in behind Ed Cavalier. So he's going to come out of the pits in 6th place. He will be our fourth highest ranked driver that's completed 2 stops for Don Warren. So he's starting to claw back those positions he lost from that incident early on where he had the solo spin into the wall out of turn 9. Still plenty of time for Don to get himself back up top. But the driver who's been up top since Steve Karkner, a pole sitter, came in for his pit cycle, or his first stop of the pit cycle, Antonio Reichenay, hasn't looked back since taking top spot. Again, the only driver last time by dipping into the 47-second lap times. Continues to push the envelope out front. Looks like he's going to come in for his second stop here now too as well. So we're just waiting on Bob Mills and Craig Vaught are our only 2 drivers now sitting on 1 stop. As we hop back here to Bob Mills, we'll keep an eye on him, see if he comes in this time. He's got to be getting near the end of his fuel load. Last pit on lap 11. So I suspect we see him in here in a matter of laps. If not this time, I suspect possibly next time by, but Bob Mills, our top 70 plus driver right now. 4 positions ahead of Bruce Poole, our second ranked 70 plus driver. Well, looks like Bob going to go around one more time. John Johnson, though, up into second place. He's got Richard Franco in tow. Both those drivers have completed 2 stops, so this is a battle for position. They both owe us 1 more stop, but they still have plenty of time to get that out of their system. John Johnson showing strong pace today, up 5 positions from where he qualified. Bob Mills as well, up 9 spots, but he does owe us 1 more spot. He's going to fall somewhere back into, it looks like potentially 9th or 10th once he comes in for that service. He'll be in and around Gene Moore and Bruce Poole, our other top 2 of the top 4 70 plus drivers. Ed Cavalier starting to reel in Bob Mills. Cavalier up 3 spots on the day, came into the pits from second place. He's going to come back out though, what is he, about 7 seconds back of Richard Franco, which is our 3rd place driver, and he's also our second driver who's completed, our 3rd driver, sorry, who's completed 2 stops. As all of our top 3 now have completed 2 stops, with Janae coming in to get his second stop out of the way. There he goes across the line. Comfortable 15-second lead over John Johnson and Richard Franco. They are battling it out for second place right now. We see both these drivers coming in. They're both going to kick off their final stop. So that's probably a wise strategy by Richard Franco. You come in same time as the car you're battling, so you can keep an eye on him. You know where he's going to be on track. You know what that gap is. You don't have to try and do any calculations to see where he might cycle through once that pit cycle gets around. So I think that's probably a wise move there by Franco. See how they cycle back out. Bob Mills still sitting on that 1 stop. Hopefully Bob remembers that he needs to make 3 stops here in this race. Currently our top 70 plus driver in class. Still owes us 2 more stops though. Craig Vaught in the pits now, completing his second stop. So Bob Mills, our lone driver that hasn't completed at least 2 stops right now. So Pierre Dion in to complete his 3rd stop. Craig Vaught in for his 2nd stop. Less than 20 minutes to go now in this one. Cavalier's gotten around Bob Mills as he pulled off to the side, let him through. Let's see, something happened to Pierre Dion again. Let's see what happened to him. This has actually put him a lap down on the field now. In through turn 9. Man, it's been a rough corner for our drivers today. That's the 3rd spin we've seen now in turn 9. Oh, and he could drive right into the barrier too as well. And again, oh man, Pierre just spare parts are at abundance for Pierre Dion, but that turn 9 section has been a thorn in a number of drivers' sides here this evening. That's the third spin we've seen out of that corner. It looks like Don Warren could come in to complete his third stop. So he'll be another driver that can just focus forward towards the end of the race. He doesn't have to worry about those pit stops as well. So hop on board here with Steve Carter. He's got Bruce Poole just ahead of him. Richard Franco in tow. So Franco's been in and out for his service. Slow pit stop though for Richard Franco. We saw him go in the same time as John Johnson. Johnson came back out in 5th place. Franco down in 8th place. So let's take a look at the pit stop times last time for Franco. 7.2 seconds in his stall for Franco versus 4.6 seconds for Johnson. I wonder if maybe Richard Franco took tires potentially on that last stop. See here if he finds a little extra pace maybe. Oh man, we've got Bruce Poole off in the bus stop. Not sure if he got a little bit of help. We'll take a look here in a moment, see what happened there. So we're following on board Steve Carter in the yellow car, Bruce Poole. Oh, Carter just gets into the back of Poole, sends him off in through the S's. Unfortunate for Bruce Poole, he had a heck of a race going. If you look at it here from another angle, to head down the short chute into the bus stop. Looks like Bruce Poole just got onto the brakes a little sooner than Steve Carter. Into the back, Carter goes. Unfortunate for Bruce Poole, that's going to drop him all the way down into 10th place. 6 seconds back of 2nd place in class, Gene Moore. Bob Mills has come in. He's going to give us his 2nd stop. So Bob was our last driver who needed to complete at least 2 stops. 1 more to go for Bob, and then he'll be free and clear towards the end. Monday afternoon drive for Antonio Rice-Shade out front. 24-second gap now over 2nd place. Ed Cavalier. Cavalier, nice race day for him, shaping up. Currently in 2nd place, up 6 spots. He's got 16 seconds over Bill Smitham. Smitham, though, keep in mind, has those 3 pit stops under his belt. Cavalier still owes us 1 more, with it being about 37 seconds on and off pit road. Smitham will take that position. John Johnson's going to take that position. Looks like right now Cavalier would come out somewhere in around 8th to 9th place. So which means Bill Smitham right now would be taking over 2nd place. That would put him up 4 positions on the day. John Johnson would take over 3rd, another +4 spots for him on the day. Johnson currently 2.4 seconds back as Smitham still has time to try and chase him down with just under 15 minutes to go in this one. Johnson putting in a 148 last time by flat to Smitham's 147.78, so Johnson's going to have to find a couple tenths here if he wants a chance at reeling in Smitham. Behind them, we got a battle between Franco and Carter. We saw Carter and Poole got into an incident there not long ago in the inner loop. Franco was right there too as well. He was actually able to capitalize on that. He was behind Carter and Poole, came out the beneficiary of that contact. He's got himself up into 5th place with Carter in behind now. Again, Carter started this one on pole. Race started out well for him, then we came in for that pit stop, just couldn't quite find the pace after that pit stop. So we'll see what Carter can unleash here at the end of the race. Currently 8 seconds back of Bill Smitham, who would be our 2nd place driver. That might be within shot here for Carter if something were to happen to Smitham or Johnson up ahead. If they get loose, a little squirrely, have to collect the car up. All it takes is a little bobble and you can lose a couple seconds very quickly. That's kind of what Carter's relying on here right now, to try and get himself back up towards the sharp end of the field. But first, he's got to deal with Richard Franco. Franco not going to be all that enthused on letting him by. Doing the best he can right now and make that car as wide as he possibly can. Meanwhile, up front, Bill Smitham doing what he needs to do in third place. 147.63 last time by to Johnson's 147.89. So Bill Smitham doing what he needs to do to hold on to second place ahead of John Johnson. Ooh, Franco going to drop a couple tires into the grass. It's going to cost him a bit of time, but they better not look right now. Don Warren sneaking up in behind. That was our driver who started in second place. Again, solo spin on, I think it was lap 2 or 3 out of turn 9. Cost him a ton of positions. So we know he has the pace as well as Kartner. Those were our top 2 drivers on the front row to start the race. If things start getting a little argy-bargy between Franco and Kartner up ahead, we can see Don Warren right in that battle in no time. Bill Smitham, he's going to pass Ed Cavalier, who's come in to complete his third stop. It's going to move him up into second place, as I suspected. John Johnson there too as well, up into third place. So our podium now stands as Antonio Reyes-Chenet, Bill Smitham, and John Johnson. Smitham and Johnson both +4 positions on the day. Antonio Reyes-Chenet up 2 spots. He started third. But once he got out front after that early pit stop by Kartner, he hasn't looked back at all. Strong race by Smitham. Kartner still trying to find a way around Franco. In through the carousel they go. Both drivers trying to utilize the full width of the track, maximize their pace through the carousel, keep up as much speed as they can. Into the toe of the boot they go. Could Kartner find a way around here now? Franco arcing out wide, then cutting back in, trying to use as much track space as he can, make that Formula 4 car as wide as he possibly can, as we're nearing the 10-minute to go point of this race. It's our closest battle. It's our only battle under 1 second of time. Don Warren was looking kind of sharkish in behind. He was closing in on these guys, but it's falling back a little bit here now. He's going to need to put in a couple hot laps if he wants to get himself up into this battle. Kartner doing well to hold off, Franco doing well to hold off Kartner. That last sector, Kartner found a little more pace to Franco. Now, Kartner very much so in the draft into turn 1. Can he utilize that draft to get a nice run up through the S's into the bus stop? Franco actually opening that gap up through turn 1 and 2. Kartner trying to get that draft, it just doesn't seem to be affecting him enough. He's going to take a couple tenths off into the bus stop, but not going to get anywhere near enough to make an overtake. He's going to have to try and regroup, get a little closer. He's going to want to be about 2 tenths, maybe 3 tenths behind Franco exiting turn 1. He really needs to get that strong exit out of turn 1 to get a run up the S's. Franco doing everything he needs to do right now. Oof. Kind of shortened off that corner a little bit for Franco. That's going to cost him a little bit of pace, where Kartner really sent it out wide. 8.5 to go in this one. Antonio Reyes-Chenet, class of the field today. That gap sitting at 17 seconds. Oh, I wonder if something happened to Antonio. He was sitting at about 25 seconds, lost about 6 seconds here somewhere. Or if he's just pulled back the pace a little bit. 159.89 last time for Antonio Reyes-Chenet. I don't see anything flagged here as far as an off track, so nothing got flagged in the system. So interesting stuff. We'll keep an eye on that. And I can confirm all of our drivers have completed the 3 mandatory stops that are still in the race. We've lost Jim Petrick. He has pulled the chute on his race. He was the only driver to complete 2, or only 2. Everybody else has completed 3, so it's now a complete sprint to the line. Speaking of sprinting, though, Richard Franco is starting to sprint away from Steve Kartner. That gap now almost 1 second between those two drivers. Franco almost had Karkner out of his draft, but Karkner starting to reel that back in. As I mentioned, the draft range on these cars here at Watkins is about 1.2 seconds. So you really see that there where Franco's still able to, or Karkner, sorry, still able to reel back in Franco when they get on the straights. Franco probably shaking his head, saying, what do I need to do to get this guy off my wing right now? I had him almost down on the mat with my foot down on his throat, but wasn't able to put him out. Karkner now charging. In half a lap, he's taking that gap down from 1 second to now only a couple tenths heading into the toe of the boot. As they head in the heel, though, it opens back up to about half a second. Karkner, I wonder if he backed off to cool his tires a little bit here, as he's mounted a charge towards the back end of this lap. They're going to cross the line with about 6 minutes to go. They're running just under 2-minute laps, so about 3, potentially 4 more laps to go. Oh man, Franco heavy into the wall. That's going to cost him some time. That's going to put Karkner right there. You see Karkner getting a run. He's going to make the move into turn 1. He's hitting alongside. Here he goes side by side into turn 1. Franco trying to defend on the outside. He's going to hold on to that spot. So, whew, well done by Richard Franco. I thought that tap of the wall out of the final corner was going to be the death sentence to him, and Karkner was going to get by. Franco able to hold off, but can he hold off now into the bus stop? Karkner going to get that run. Who's going to come out ahead here? Too wide into the bus stop. Battle late breakers. Franco backs out early. Karkner sends it in through the bus stop. Now, we'll see if Franco, being the dog chasing the rabbit here, can he try and find a way to get back around Karkner, or will Karkner start to pull away now that he's out front? Don Warren, though, in behind, been unable to close that gap. It's actually gotten larger in behind, opened up to 3 seconds now. I wonder if maybe Don Karkner was just pushing a little too hard, might have overheated his tires. Try and chase back down those drivers up ahead. Let's pop back here, take a look at our top driver in 70 plus, Gene Moore. He's got a comfortable 6 seconds over Bob Mills. Bruce Poole, our third place driver, only 1.4 seconds back of Bob Mills. So Bruce Poole, we saw up towards the front, actually got wrapped up in a little bit of an incident with Karkner heading into the bus stop. Probably would have had a higher place finish right now. He's starting to reel in Bob Mills. The clock might be the enemy right now for Bruce Poole, as they head in and out of the toe of the boot, up towards the heel they go. That gap continues to come down as Poole chasing down Bob Mills, trying to take away second step on the podium in 70 plus. Bob Mills no doubt sees Poole in his rearview mirror in through turn 9, where we've seen a number of drivers struggle today. Mills getting in and out of that section. Back to this battle between Karkner and Franco. Karkner closing that back down into the bus stop. Karkner sends it through there more frivolously, though. Franco a little more cautious in through the inner loop. They've got a lap car just up ahead of them. I believe that might be Pierre Dion coming up ahead. So we'll see if that plays a role in this battle. Our leader, Antonio Reich-Chadet, heading into turn 10. He's going to cross the line with 2 laps to go here in a matter of moments. So this is it. The last real chance for our drivers to try and make a move. Bill Smitham sitting comfortably in second place. He's 3.4 seconds ahead of John Johnson. Both those drivers up 4 positions on the day. Nice runs shaping out for them. They just have to bring that car home. See that battle between Karkner and Franco in behind. They're about 3.5 seconds back of Johnson. Karkner unable to pull away from Franco since he got by him. Franco right in behind him now. Come on board here with Richard Franco. Carkner going defensive into turn 1. He's going to force Franco around the outside if he wants to make that move. Franco going to stay tucked in behind. Wise decision. Get that run up through the S's. Try and make the move into the bus stop. He's right there in tow. I suspect they're going to go too wide into the bus stop again right now. We saw what happened last time where Franco backed out of it early on. He was the early breaker where Carkner sent it into the bus stop. Are we going to get a repeat? Franco going to have to go the outside around here. He backs out early again. Carkner slides it through the bus stop. Franco right there. Could he be setting him up for a last lap move? They've got the rest of this lap, so about half a lap plus one more to go in this battle. Check back here on Bob Mills. He's been able to hold that gap steady on Bruce Poole in behind for second place in class. Poole stagnant now, 1.6, 1.7 seconds back of Bob Mills. Unfortunately for Poole, he's just outside the draft range here, heading up the S's. Another couple tenths closer, and he might have been able to utilize the draft up through the S's on Bob Mills, but as it stands right now, not going to be a factor for him. Franco, short shooting turn 6, or turn 8, sorry, into turn 9 they go. Carkner going out wide. Franco taking a tighter line. He's staying in tow. That lap car of Dion just up ahead. They're going to come across to pick up the white flag this time by. Into the final corner. Neither driver touches the wall, so they both have their full pace. Down the front lane they go. Barney waving the white flag as they cross. Can this be the moment? Is this where Franco takes back 4th place from Carkner? Let's go on board here with Franco. Up through the S's they go. Looks like the lap car of Dion won't be an issue here. He's far enough ahead. Carkner to the inside. Going to force Franco around the outside. He's going to duck back to the outside. Which way is he going to go? Is Franco going left? Franco's going to the right. Here we go. Battle late breakers. Carkner going to send it into the bus stop. Franco backs out again. Carkner, though, going to have to deal with that lap car of Dion up ahead. Oh, Gene Moore into the pits for a 4th stop for some reason. I wonder if he just underfueled, but our leader, Antonio Genet, a couple more corners to go for him. 2 more corners to go. Richard Franco unable to close in on Steve Carkner. Looks like Carkner's going to hold on to 4th place, but it's been Antonio Race Genet's day. Into the final corner he goes. He's going to take round 2 of the endurance here at the Senior Sportsmanship Endurance Championship. Well done to him, Bill Smitham. Couple more corners to go for Bill Smitham, currently in 2nd place, kicking up some dirt and grass through the penultimate corner into the final corner. He's using up all the track. 1 more corner to go. Bill Smitham up 4 positions on the day. He'll come home in 2nd place. Well done to him. Rounding out the podium is going to be John Johnson. Steve Carkner's going to outlast Richard Franco for 4th. Nice run for Franco. Don Warren, unfortunately, unable to get back into that battle. He's going to come home in 6th. Ed Cavalier in 7th. Bob Mills is going to be our top 70-plus driver. He's got to hold off Bruce Poole, though. Gene Moore, for some reason, came in for that 4th stop. He was in the lead of class. That means Bob Mills going to inherit top spot. So Bruce Poole going to be shaking his head. Couldn't close in on Bob Mills. It would have been actually a class win here. Potentially for Poole if he would have been able to get around Mills. But it's going to be Bob Mills' day here at Watkins Glen in the 70-plus division. Out of the final corner, he goes across the line. Congrats to Bob Mills. Bruce Poole going to have to settle for 2nd place. Craig Vaught wrapped up in a number of incidents today. I'm going to say neither one of them his doing. Just got wrong place, wrong time for Craig. He's going to come home in 10th place. Jean-Paul Epp in and out of the final corner for him. And across the line, Gene Moore sputtering again to the line. Interesting stuff here for Gene Moore. That's twice. He's sputtering to the line. He came in for 4 stops. I'm surprised he didn't have enough fuel to get to the line here. Coasting, clutch in, just trying to breeze it to the line. He's going to get across, and that's going to make everything official here. Let's take a look at the final results. Antonio Reychanet takes top spot in senior division, just ahead of Bill Smitham and John Johnson. Steve Carkner, Richard Franco, Don Warren, Ed Cavalier, Craig Vaught, Jean-Paul Epp, and Jim Petrick round out the senior division in 70 plus. Top spot goes to Bob Mills, Bruce Pohl in second, Gene Moore comes home in third, Pierre Dion's going to finish up 2 laps down, and let's take a look here at the overall results. There you go. So thanks for tuning in. That was the second race of the Senior Sportsmanship Championship League. Again, if you are a 55 plus, looking for a fun, great group of racers, you're more focused on the sportsmanship and having good, clean racing versus dive bombing and outright pace, these are the racers for you. You can find their Discord information in the description, and they would love to have you. Again, for Racers Nexus, I'm Rob Campbell. It's been a treat and a pleasure to cover these 2 endurance races for these folks. If you're looking to have your league or hosted session broadcast, even your charity race too as well, feel free to contact us. We can take on any event, big, small. We can cover them all. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you later on this week. Bye for now.